I think Coolsville sucks.
What you call an icon living? Puerto Rican live Miss just did it. I love over 5 minutes. Whoa, we up too hot in the place.
Hey guys, my name is Mayana and today I'm going to be doing the if you like this book, then you'll like this book. I decided to do this video because I've been reading a lot lately and I've been noticing in my readings that a lot of the books remind me of other books. And I've already done if you like this book, you'll like this movie, and if you like this book, you'll like this TV show. So why not do it if you like this book, then you'll like this book. And so I do want to say that while making this list, I try not to have a lot of repeats of popular videos. They're all like books that have been compared to before anyway, so I want to keep this different, but keep these popular books, you know. Also, there is only one book on this list that has been mentioned like a lot in these other kind of videos, but I think that if you like The Wicked Saints, this book does have trigger warnings. I will say that her magic does draw from blood, so she has to do a lot of self-harm. And this book also has gods, so she talks to the gods a lot, and it's basically just her going on an adventure, and that's all I really want to say. This book does follow 3 characters. It follows the main girl, a prince with an eye patch, and a villain who is compared to the Darkling a lot. So if you like The Wicked Saints, you will like The Poppy War. And The Poppy War is about a girl who goes to military school, and this fictional place that she lives in is basically China, and the place that like they're at war with is basically Japan. And like during the middle of this book, they end up going at war. And I don't want to give away spoilers in this book, but I will say that she talks about the gods a lot in this book, and when she talked about the gods, it reminded me of Wicked Saints. So the next book that I have is The Poet X, and this book is just about a girl who is, I believe she's young, she's like 16, and her mom is like very strict and Christian, and so she meets this guy that she like falls in love with, but she has to kind of like sneak around with him because, you know, her mom is very strict and Christian and doesn't want her to be with the boy. And it's just, I think this book is so beautiful. It's told in verse, and I just really loved it. So if you like The Poet X, then you will like Voices. This book is about Joan of Arc, and though I don't really know who Joan of Arc is, I really enjoyed this book. This book is also told in verse. This isn't an arc I have, by the way. This book is also told in verse, and it's just really good and really creative. And I just think that if you like The Poet X, you'll like Voices, because these books are both about really strong and amazing women, and they're both told. So if you like that this book was told in verse, then you will absolutely love this because it's also told in verse. And I really enjoyed both of these books. I gave these both 5 stars, I believe. The next books I have is if you like The Cruel Prince. So The Cruel Prince is one of my all-time favorite series. It's literally my only all-time favorite series, to be honest. This book is about a girl named Jude, and she is kidnapped at a young age and taken to the fairyland, and the fairy world, and she wants to become I don't even remember what it is, like a knight basically, you know. And but they won't let her because she's not a fairy and everyone else is like, she's a human. And it's about Carden, who is the cruel prince. And I just love this book because it follows fairies, and I actually found out that I love books about fairies. Like, they're just so interesting because they're always like, a lot of people think that fairies are like nice and sweet and like, oh my gosh, like glitter and dust, but like, no, fairies are freaking evil. And I love it. Like, every book with fairies, the fairies are freaking evil. And it's just, so if you like The Cruel Prince, then you will like An Enchantment of Ravens. And like, An Enchantment of Ravens is also popular. Like, if you haven't read Enchantment of Ravens, like, where have you been? I know a lot of people say that like, if you like A Court of Thorns and Roses, you'll like An Enchantment of Ravens. But when I read An Enchantment of Ravens, I thought about The Cruel Prince a lot more, just because of how good it was, like the story is built. And honestly, An Enchantment of Ravens is about a girl, and she is a painter. She accidentally paints sorrow or human emotions into this fairy princess eyes, so they're whisked away to their fairy world to take them on trial. And they like, on their journey, they end up like falling in love, and it's very insta-lovey. So if you can't take insta-love, like, I would not suggest reading it. I hate insta-love, and I fairly enjoyed this book. Like, it was so good. And honestly, the world building in this book was so much better than The Cruel Prince, and this book is not even like a series, this is a standalone. Y'all are about to be real mad at me, but it must be said. If you like Six of Crows, which is about a group of kids who go on this heist basically, and everyone loves this book because it has amazing like characters, it has a really good plot, and like, but if you're really a character person, you will absolutely love this book. And the book that, if you like Six of Crows, you will like The Gilded Wolves. Okay, now a lot of people who love, like, if you like Six of Crows, like it's not like your all-time favorite but you still really enjoyed it, I think you will like The Gilded Wolves. But if you absolutely love it, like I feel like The Gilded Wolves is going to be iffy with you. Don't go into The Gilded Wolves thinking that these books are the same thing. The Gilded Wolves is also about a group of friends who go on a heist, and that is why I compare them to each other, because that is the only thing about these books that are the same. Nothing about these books are the same. And if you go into The Gilded Wolves thinking that it will be exactly like Six of Crows, that is what you will base your opinions off of that. And yeah, basically, like, you'll base your opinions off of these books are two different books, and the only way they're the same is because they are about because they're about a group of kids who go on a heist, and that is completely it. Okay, so the next book I have is the book that's always on the if you like this then you'll like this list. So if you like The Diviners, which is basically a book about different kids who have special like abilities, and that's really it. And it's set in 1926. And if you like The Diviners, then you will like The Last Magicians. The Magicians also follow a group of characters, but these characters can time travel. And this book is set in, okay, this book does not have a time, and I really do not remember when this book was set. But if you like The Diviners, then you will like The Last Magician. I personally like The Last Magician a lot more. The Diviners, like I said about Six of Crows, if you like a book that is more so character driven than plot driven, then you will really love The Diviners. But I like The Last Magician a lot more because it had that plot that I was looking for, but also the characters. So I gave this book 4 stars, and I ended up giving this book like 3 stars. But like I said, if you like books that are character driven, then you will love The Diviners. These last 2 books are like books where I own one but not the other. So okay, so this one, it sounds really silly because these are books by the same author. But if you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which if you haven't read by now, like, come on, what are you doing? The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is basically just that, what the title says. It follows Evelyn Hugo and her 7 Hugos and her 7 husbands. And Evelyn Hugo is actually a woman of color, so another reason why, if you haven't read this book, you definitely should check it out. And this book is told in interview form. Like, this book is told from the interviewer's perspective, and like Evelyn Hugo telling the interviewer her life. The book also has like newspaper clips in it and things like that, and I really enjoyed this book. So if you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you will also like Daisy Jones and the Six, which is by the exact same author. And Daisy Jones and the Six is told in interview form, but like actual like interview form. And this is about a band, well, this is about Daisy Jones who like combines with the Six. They're like a band, and like they end up getting put together to become like this epic band of like the 60s and 70s, and it's told into interview forms. And I think that if you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you would definitely like that book or one or the other, because they both are told in like different forms of way of telling the story. And also Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six really remind me of each other. And the last book I have for you guys is if you like Throne of Glass, which is basically a fantasy book, and it's about it's about Selena Sardathian, who was a slave, and she is now, I really forgot what this plot is about because the story definitely takes a turn. I really forgot what the original plot was about. It's about Selena Sardathian, who is a slave, and she is taken to be working with the king, and she is put in like this tournament, and whoever wins gets to work for the king basically. And honestly, the series takes a big turn, so if that does not sound interesting to you, you should still check the series out, because even me, the girl who did not care to read Sarah J Maas actually really loves this series. Okay, the series takes a huge turn from what you think it's about, so I definitely suggest checking it out. But if you like Throne of Glass, and you will like Truth Witch. These books aren't exactly the same in any kind of way. They just really remind me of each other as like the way the fantasies are written. I do think that Truth Witch was okay. I do think that Truth Witch was written a lot better. And this book is basically about two girls, and they live in this fantasy world, and there's this war going on. And I really liked this book. I liked the characters, especially Safia. Like, I loved her. These characters do have really complicated names, but the author does have a video on how to say these names. But I also just listening to the audiobook because it was just so amazing. And this book has a lot of like action scenes and fighting scenes, and just listening to that through audiobook was just so amazing, and it was such a great experience. So I do say check out this book. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please leave comments down below, like if you agree that like these books are similar in some kind of way, or if you liked one book and hated the other, or if you loved both books. Like, let me know. I want to know these things so that when I do another one I can do it better. So yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe to join the cult, and I'll see you in my next video.
I was up late night brawling, so far from my past misfortune, no sleeping late